Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the GioMoShow, right here on 88.3 FM WXOU, Auburn Hills, Michigan, Oakland University, and all your wonderful station identification features. I am your host of the GioMoShow. I am also the sports media director here at WXOU, the one and only Giovanni Mosheri. And the GioMoShow is your home for all Oakland University sports and beyond on 88.3 FM. Don't forget to follow WXOU on our MAB award-winning 2 years in a row of awards from the MAB in social media. So give us all a follow. WXOU Radio on Instagram, WXOU on Twitter, and TikTok as well. While you're on the internet, while you're looking around on social media, looking for all your wonderful Oakland University goodness, both for sports, music, events, and more, well, why don't you go take a look at my social media as well. I'm out there in the world, too, and the GioMoShow's got its own Instagram page. You can find all of that. If you're watching on YouTube, you can find it right below where I'm speaking now. But if you're here on WXOU.org or later on our podcast release, then you can follow me, the GioMoShow, on Instagram, the GioMo Show to be specific. You can find me, Mosheri_Giovanni, on Instagram. You can find me on Twitter at GioMosheri WXOU. So we are everywhere. No way to miss the GioMoShow. And to mention it again, you can find the GioMoShow every episode, every second of the GioMoShow is up on YouTube as well as via Spreaker. So there's no way to miss the GioMoShow. And one last announcement, be sure to subscribe to WXOU Sports, where we upload all of our broadcasts, all of our highlights and interviews and shows, etc. It's all there on WXOU Sports on YouTube. If you want to hear the Horizon League tournament games, we got all those for you as well. So, there is so much to get to for today's show. We got Oakland University men's basketball. I don't got to tell you guys what happened, but I'll tell you again that we were in March Madness. We were successful in March Madness. We'll be talking all about that. In addition, we'll be talking about baseball as they shellacked the Penguins on a surprise, on what was normally a home game or a home series, turned into an away series, and we shellacked the Penguins in Youngstown via baseball, as well as a little bit of swim and dive news as well. So there's plenty to get to, and there's plenty to talk about. So without further ado, we got one more announcement before we get started. Do you need something fun to do with your friends? Escape rooms are an incredible way to spend time with friends, family, and loved ones. And Escapology is the largest and best escape room franchise in the world. They have escape rooms such as Scooby-Doo, Murder on the Orient Express, The Code, and Under Pressure, and another brand new themed room coming this summer. On Tuesdays through May 31st, buy one full price ticket and a second person plays free. Use the code TWOFER, that's TWOFER. Visit Escapology.com for more information. Again, that's Escapology.com. Escapology is located at 82 Macomb Place in Mt Clemens. Escapology, where time is of the essence. So we got plenty to get to, so let's just dive right in. Your Oakland University Golden Grizzlies have just finished up a spectacular, a historic, a absolute thriller of a season, and ended it with the trip in March Madness. Oakland University, the automatic bid from the little-known Horizon League, the 13.5-point underdogs, the 14th seed, upset the Blue Blood, the Kentucky Wildcats, the godfathers of college basketball. We beat them 80-76 in Pittsburgh on prime time to shock the whole world. It was such an incredible game. We'll talk all about it here, all the storylines. You got, obviously, Jack Golke and his fantastic story now being discovered by the rest of the nation, although we've known it all along. Just about time everyone got caught up with it. We'll talk about that. Trey Townsend had his stellar performance as well. We'll get into all of it. But first, I want to play just a little bit of audio for you guys, as I've gotten quite the collection from the past weekend here for you guys to relive it and for you guys to really get back into the spirit if you were listening to it on the radio. Unfortunately, not here on WXOU. But if you heard Neil Rule on the radio call, then the final call sounded something like this.
Pass up ahead. Reeves fires the three. Will not go. The buzzer sounds. America, the Oakland Golden Grizzlies have busted your bracket. Oakland University is going on. The Kentucky Wildcats are going home. 80-76. The Oakland Golden Grizzlies get the win over the Kentucky Wildcats.
Man, that was just incredible. And unfortunately, I was not able to listen to that radio call live. I was not able to watch it on TV, and the reason for that is I was there in person. I was there in Pittsburgh. I saw with my own eyes. I ruined my own voice trying to cheer on for my Golden Grizzlies. I was there waving the flag, my bandana, the sunglasses. You know the get-up that I go to when it comes to games, and I brought it to Pittsburgh, baby. We were there. We had a bus full of students. We had a whole section of alumni and faculty and Golden Grizzlies faithful in the PPG Paints Arena in Pittsburgh. We got to see it with our own eyes. A historic moment in Golden Grizzlies athletics, a historic moment in March Madness, a historic moment in college basketball. We got to see it. You heard me on the GioMoShow preview. You kind of heard me talking about the game, what I thought about it going into it. And you guys aren't going to believe me. That's okay. It's so easy for people to say, oh, I saw that coming. I knew what was going on. I knew, I had a feeling it was going to happen, but they wouldn't say that if it didn't happen. But with all that being said, with all the caveats, I did have a feeling, and I knew the Golden Grizzlies were going to be able to do it. Nobody believed me when I said it. Everybody was like, "It's Kentucky. Come on, you're a 14th seed. Take it easy, Giovanni. Let's relax a little bit. And we know that you love your Golden Grizzlies, but come on, this is the big boys. This is Big Blue Nation. This is the big boys of college basketball." I knew it all along, and you guys just had to learn the hard way. You just had to be taught the hard way, and that's okay, because sometimes the best lessons in life are taught via the hard way. And let me prove something to you. If you guys really don't believe me, I was lucky enough to be invited onto the Rup to No Good podcast, a podcast dedicated to Big Blue Nation and to Kentucky basketball. They saw my little spiel on Twitter. They wanted to get an Oakland opinion on their show. So they were lucky enough, and they were kind enough to have me up as a guest on their podcast that we recorded Tuesday night before the Thursday game against the Wildcats and the Golden Grizzlies. So just to prove a point here, and forgive me for being kind of sporadic here, but I had to hit the ground running on this. I've been waiting to talk about this since Thursday night. So with all that being said, for those of you who don't believe me and don't believe that I had the feeling here, that I had the crystal ball, that, there's no way he's just making it up, allow us to listen to some video, to some audio rather. If you're on YouTube, then you can listen to the audio later on the podcast version of the GioMoShow. That's where you'll get the wonderful audio here. But you could switch to WXOU.org to get the audio that I'm playing here, and you can listen to it that way. So there's plenty of ways to get to the GioMoShow. But enough lollygagging. Let's get to the audio.
At the end of every podcast, we end with score predictions. And sometimes we are, we're a little bit homers with our picks. Like,
of course,
Kentucky doesn't have too many times we're an underdog. But we usually all pick Kentucky. And actually, our biggest underdog games this year, we've actually been correct. So no one will shame you if you picked Oakland, but let's hope you're wrong. But Giovanni, you start us off. What is your score prediction, and who is your predicted MVP for this game, this matchup between number 3 seeded Kentucky and 14 seeded Oakland?
I got Oakland by a score of 80-77. One possession, real close. Maybe free throw is what puts it to a 3. MVP of the game, I don't see it being Trey Townsend because of all the focus he's going to draw. But I think Jack Golke and his three-point shooting is going to be the key for this game. Blake Lamman will chip in as well, but I think Golke's volume and trickery of beyond the arc will be the win for Oakland.
Yeah, so basically I was right. I was literally 1 point off. I knew it was going to happen. I had the crystal ball. You guys should have listened to me. And listen, I can't get any closer besides getting the exact score in MVP. Like, come on, man. I knew it was happening. I knew, and I tried to tell you guys. I tried to tell Big Blue Nation. They had score predictions. So there's 4 fellas on the podcast, that 4 hosts of the podcast. They were saying, 90-65. They were saying 119-40. They were like, they had some insane score predictions. Now, in the moment, were they wrong? Probably not. Some of them are a little bit reasonable. They scored almost 90 a game going into this. They were literally the best three-point shooting in the country going into this game. But I knew it had to be a low-scoring game. I knew the Golden Grizzlies defense and the Campy zone were going to have to be the key to the game to slow them down and to get within a reasonable amount of points for Oakland's offense to be able to breathe and open up and to score around that 80-point mark. 80-77 was my score prediction. Final score, once again, was 80-76. So I just wanted to kind of flex on that one, puff my chest a little bit, because I was hype about that all weekend long. I just had to show it to you guys. Listen, I know what I'm talking about here. You guys don't think so, but there's proof and there's audio, and you guys can listen back to it. Listen, I'm good at my job. What can I say? So kind of moving on. So, okay, flexing aside, let's kind of get back to the game here. So as I mentioned, I was at the event. I was on site. It was a bus of us Golden Grizzlies fans. It was, about one full section of Golden Grizzlies fans that were there, and we took over. We took over the entire arena. It was section 111 of the lower bowl of Golden Grizzlies fans, alumni, faculty, students, the works. We ended up taking over that stadium by winning over the hearts of the neutral fans there, by making the Big Blue Nation, the fans there, all in their very lukewarm fandom of Kentucky Blue and kind of yada yada. We'll go to the game, we'll watch it, whatever. We took over. The Golden Grizzlies fans were not silenced throughout the entire game. That energy that we had in that arena was constant. It was dedicated, it was determined, and it was unwavering. I would say, to selfishly take a little bit of credit, that energy in the building was, I believe, a huge piece as to the keeping the game within the Golden Grizzlies' range and to keep them going, even though Kentucky was able to basically match whatever Oakland was doing. I don't think the game ever. I didn't check the box score necessarily, but I don't know if the game got even beyond 2 possessions. It was close the entire way, but Oakland was not going to be quiet. We won over and took over that arena. I found Kentucky fans to be respectfully soft, just to kind of I could tell they were scared going into the game. When when I was on that podcast, I did notice that they had their hesitations, for St. Peter's reasons of years past. But I just had a feeling, and we had to kind of have that constant output of energy to get the game to where it needed to be, and the game got to where it needed to be. It was just such a fun experience. It was a sight to behold. I'm so blessed and I'm so lucky to be able to see it and to experience it my senior year, especially, kind of being, as involved as I am in Oakland athletics. It was just such a sight to behold. It's something I'll never forget, and it's something I'll never stop talking about either whenever Oakland basketball comes up. So it was just such an incredible experience. Thank you to the OSI. Thank you to Oakland Athletics, and to everybody who even had a little bit of involvement in getting that bus over to Pittsburgh that Thursday night to allow us to see and to watch and to cheer. And nothing but the absolute biggest thanks for allowing us to do that. And there'll be another round of thank yous when we talk about the NC State game, but we'll stay on one topic here. So in that game, what was the big storyline coming out of it? If you were closing your eyes and plugging your ears and sticking your head in the ground like an ostrich, and you had no idea what happened, well, luckily, I'm going to tell you. The big story that came out of this game, nationally, it was like wildfire, spread across the entire nation. Everyone had Gohlke fever. Jack Gohlke made himself forevermore a March Madness legend. One that will be talked about for years by Oakland University, by Kentucky, by the NCAA. It's a story that will be told for generations. And that story is 10 of 20 from 3. It's incredible what Jack Golke was able to do on one of the biggest stages that Oakland has ever been on, in one of the most high-pressure situations that you can be in for a mid-major basketball team. To go up against one of the best programs in college basketball history, against 7-footers, in those, I think every single person on Kentucky's team was taller than Jack, was as tall as Trey. It was a big team. They had so many 5-stars. They had the best recruiting class in the nation. They had NBA prospects. And to not be intimidated or to not be wavered in any way, and to keep the confidence that he's had, and he's told you that he's had, is nothing but astounding. So in that game, as mentioned, 10 of 20 from 3. And nobody could believe the volume shooting that he did. I believe he dribbled literally 3 or 4 times throughout the entire game. It was all catch and shoot. Everybody was surprised. Everybody couldn't believe it. But it's normal. That's what we do. Oakland basketball is known for the insane volume of 3-point shooting. Campy's always done that. If you want to take a look back in history, Travis Bader, when he played, let me find my notes here. In 2013 and 14, Travis Bader for Oakland University broke the NCAA record for 3-pointers made and for 3-pointers attempted, and set the single season 3-point made record. Like it's happened at Oakland before. We've had number 1 3-point shooters in the country before. Jack is just not just, but Jack is the next in line of that generation of Oakland 3-point shooters. He finished number 1 in the nation in 3 points made and attempted on an astounding 37%. The highest volume in the country. And 37.6% was his average. Astounding. Amazing. But it's what Oakland does, and in the country starting slowly to learn that. And it was amazing to watch everyone learn that. And of course, to make sure that to kind of put to really cement his legacy here, and to make sure that nobody will forget Jack Golke, he had this to say on the TV broadcast, a post-game interview when CBS was talking to both Campy and Jack. Here's what he had to say.
Coach, Jack, we appreciate the show, guys. Go enjoy it.
Appreciate it. We're not a Cinderella.
We're not a Cinderella. It's something that will be repeated and echoed for generations. We are not a Cinderella. And now what does that mean? He explained it, but I'll explain it for him. What he meant by that is that typically a Cinderella story is told by a team that shouldn't be there, that by some fairy godmother magic was able to not only make it to the tournament but win the games that they do. It's something that shouldn't happen, and it takes something beyond the team's skill and makeup and coaching to be able to do. But that's not the case here with the Golden Grizzlies. That's not what this Oakland team is. We're not a Cinderella because we belong, because we're good enough to compete with anybody in the country. It's no fairy godmother magic. There's no fairy dust. It's just what Oakland was made of. And it was, first of all, bars. That's an awesome line to drop on your way out of the interview. But a savvy media move by our Jack Golke, and as you can see, he's becoming quite skilled in the media and NIL game because of his performance. But it's such a legend. It's such a legendary quote. I can all but guarantee that in some way, in some shape or form, that's going to be printed somewhere in the arena, whether it's in the entrance where they have all the players kind of painted on the wall, or it's a banner that will eventually be hung. We're not a Cinderella. It's such a good line. I love that. I just love that. And to kind of to give one more point as to Jack, for the Jack Golke story, and how this isn't a Cinderella, that his performance on that court was not some magic. This has happened before. We've seen Jack do this all season long against the toughest opponents. And I'll give one example from the away Milwaukee game that Oakland played earlier this season. Now, Jack is from the Milwaukee area, from Pewaukee, I believe his hometown is. High school graduate of the Pewaukee Pirates. So Oakland was on the road for the second game in the Horizon League series between the Panthers and the Golden Grizzlies. At this time, nobody in the Horizon League has won an away game in Wisconsin, not just Milwaukee. In both Milwaukee and Green Bay, no team has won on the road there. So with that on the line, with all the friends and family in the stands looking and watching for Jack, against the team that they would eventually see in the Horizon League championship game. Okay, this isn't just some pushover team. The Panthers were the runner-up of the Horizon League as a 6th seed. They made it all the way. So against that team at those stakes, when Oakland is scratching and clawing at such a close Horizon League to try and get closer to the number 1 seed, I forgot where they were at the time, but in that game, Jack hit a 3-pointer at the end of the first half with 18 seconds left that got Oakland the lead going into the halftime. He hit another 3-pointer with 36 seconds left in regulation to send the game into overtime. He hit another 3-pointer with another 36 seconds left in overtime to send it into double overtime. He made all 3 of his free throws when he was fouled on another 3-point attempt in double overtime, and then he made another one in double overtime in a game that Oakland would eventually win and become the first team on the road in the Horizon League to win in the state of Wisconsin. That's what Jack does. That game was in February. Let me go back to make sure. Rather, that was January 27th. 91-87 was the final score in double overtime. In a game where Jack led the Golden Grizzlies in scoring with 27 points, making 8 of 18. He went 10 of 20 against Kentucky. He does this. That's what he did this season. That's what he has done all season. So for those just thinking that just this, stone-jawed, cut from marble-faced white dude that could shoot threes just magically decided to do it, that's not the case. That's what he can do and has done. So I just wanted to hammer that point in, that we're not a Cinderella. And that this Oakland team is one of the greatest, if not the, I would say the greatest Golden Grizzlies team in school history. And that's not even the only game they played. Let's get to the North Carolina game. One that was exciting. Let me find the words. It was extremely exciting. We got to go to that game as well, not only bringing one bus, but bringing another one too. Oakland University was back on the road, in terms of fan bus. We went back and forth between Pittsburgh and Rochester to watch our Golden Grizzlies in person in March Madness. And their opponent, determined right after our win against Kentucky, became the NC State Wolfpack, a team that was the 11th seed in the South region, a team that was a 10th seed going into their ACC tournament, going into that tournament on a 4-game losing streak as well. Since then, NC State has not lost going into that game against Oakland. Led by the ACC tournament MVP, the largest human being you've ever seen. By the way, he is talked about, the one and only DJ Burns, or as I was yelling in the stands, DJ Buns, but it didn't quite work. The heckling didn't quite work. But I have nothing but respect for NC State, honestly. We'll get to the game. I'm getting ahead of myself here. So Oakland with an opportunity to not only, already winning their first NCAA tournament game in school history, but they had a chance to go to the Sweet 16. And it was not a long shot to think that. It was not a long shot for the Golden Grizzlies to go to Dallas for the Sweet 16. You got the 11th seed. You had Texas Tech and Kentucky out of the way. And Sweet 16 was up for grabs. But in that game, a game that ended up going into overtime, a game where Oakland started off a little bit slow. Started off, you got one-day prep against a very unique team with a very unique player down in the middle. One-day preps are normal in the Horizon League, or at least they have been in the past years. They kind of gave them 2 days prep for this year with the Wednesday to Saturday games instead of Thursday to Saturday. But Oakland, with the one-day prep, took a little bit of time to find their feet, but eventually they would, and they kept the game close. Believe they had the lead in halftime as well. Allow me to verify via the internet. But yeah, Oakland, we were down by 3 going into halftime. Forgive me, 29-32 was the halftime score. Slow defensive start for this game. It wasn't the fireworks show that the Kentucky game was, even though the scores didn't end up being that far apart. But remember, it was overtime. But Oakland did not give up. They stayed in the game. It was not a game where you had only like one half of basketball in the tank before you just pewed it out. Oakland stayed in it the whole time. And it was rough. It was rough and tough basketball. Because you had DJ Burns just unstoppable, man. An Oakland team that already has had their issues with height now is being exposed to their issue in weight. Just in terms of roster construction. Burns is like 275. Like, the dude is enormous for a player, or for basketball, but he's so smooth. He's so used to being double and even triple teamed. He throws dimes. It's not just, he doesn't get flustered when he gets multi-teamed. He knows where the open guy is. And he doesn't struggle to get the pass off either. Boom! He fires that thing when he's passing it to the open player. And that's just how the game went. I'm getting flashbacks of this one particular play, one that's been screenshotted and shared all around, where Oakland was triple teaming DJ Burns, and then boom, 3-pointer from the corner in. Just like that. And you were sitting back. I'm sitting back, and I'm like, dude, he's fantastic. He's fabulous. I can't help but cheer for him secretly. But he's beating the crap out of my Golden Grizzlies. Like it was a weird mix of wonder and pain. I can't describe it fully. How the man made me feel in the stands as a spectator. Burns is amazing. And he proved to be that way. And as they in the Wolfpack went on to beat the Golden Grizzlies in overtime. Despite a 30-point double-double for Trae Townsend, his 10th of the season, I think. But just Oakland with such a close chance, with it being so close to getting to the Sweet 16, fall just short to a very deserving team. I have my bitterness towards it. I told people I didn't have my bitterness, but as I kept scrolling through social media and I kept seeing the screenshots of the wincing faces of our players against him in the paint, it stings a little bit more as the days go on, but I know that I'll eventually become at peace with the way the game went, with the NC State Wolfpack, their amazing run that they're on so far, starting all the way back from the ACC tournament as a 10th seed, winning the whole thing. They beat North Carolina. They beat the number 1 seed, North Carolina. Or overall, I don't know, but number 1 seed in their region. They beat them to get into the tournament. I can't hate it. I can't hate on it. The NC State Wolfpack have ripped my heart out, but also have won my heart. So they've won the heart that they have taken from me. Is a way that you can mention that. So that spells the end for the Golden Grizzlies men's basketball season. I can live with it. I'll be happy about it because this season is like no other. Oakland's never had a season like this before. In terms of mid-major basketball, in terms of Horizon League basketball, the Golden Grizzlies had a clean sweep. Their ring will be one that is extremely unique in the history of the Horizon League. Regular season champions. Tournament champions. 14-3 upset. Overtime loss in the round of 32. I don't know if they'll say that on the ring, but it is such a unique and special season, and I can't be anything but grateful and happy that I was able to be a part of it. And I imagine that a lot of Golden Grizzlies faithful feel the same way. That this was the greatest Golden Grizzlies team we've ever seen. In Campy's 40th season. In Trey Townsend and Blake Lampman's senior year. To go out like that is amazing. Nothing short, but amazing. So we got a couple more subtopics, a couple other points and angles I wanted to take for this March Madness run. First of all, I mean, we'll do my second. Let's do my second round of thank yous. First of all, thank you very much to President Orik Peskovitz for buying 100 tickets, for paying for 100 tickets to have us Golden Grizzlies fans go to the NC State, to go to the game against NC State on her bill. Nothing but the absolute biggest thank you to Aura for that. That was something like, was out of the blue. I didn't know that she was going to do that. But she did. She brought 2 buses over to Pittsburgh to give Oakland the closest chance that you could get to the Sweet 16. Huge thank you to her. Thank you to the OSI. Everybody involved in the madness and the blitz for tickets and the organizing and promoting and all the logistical challenges that goes into 2 bus rides in 2 days to Pittsburgh, or in 3 days to Pittsburgh. Nothing but the biggest thank you for that. Thank you to the Golden Grizzlies fans that have, one, allowed me to be, kind of in the Oakland media space and following me in that sense. So thank you to that. But to thank you to all those fans that have stayed with the team for years before this, and especially this year. You guys, you in the crowd, in the arena, fans and students and everybody that was involved in this season in cheering on the Golden Grizzlies and promoting them, and nothing but the biggest thank you to you guys. This season was one that was shared by everybody. This one is the praise and the thank you and the credit goes all around. So thank you to everyone supporting the Golden Grizzlies. And this, like I mentioned, this is just nothing but a historic season that I've been lucky enough to see and be involved in and call the games of for my senior year. That's special, man. So getting into some of our other angles that I wanted to get into this, we will talk about baseball eventually. We'll talk a little bit about swim and dive as well. But obviously the bulk of the show is going to be the Golden Grizzlies in the tournament. And I do want to also give a heads up. Next week, The GioMoShow will have a full season recap with me and special guest Drew Allison, who's been on my side for color commentary on WXOU for, I think, like 5 or 6 games that we have called together for you guys right here on WXOU. We're going to be, next week, breaking down the season. Drew and his wonderful basketball mind will be kind of giving us the deets, giving us the input, and giving us the nuts and bolts of what this season was like, good and bad. So stay tuned for that for next week. That will be in addition to the live show next Monday. So stay tuned for that. But something that was starting to bug me a little bit. So to kind of give some context, like I mentioned before, in the game against Kentucky, we were seated in the lower bowl in section like 111. So like we were like close enough to the court. But for the second game, and this is no disrespect to anybody that was involved in getting us there, but it was just the way it was. I understand, but why is it? I know why, but because money. Why is there not a dedicated student section for both the schools that are in the for both the schools playing? Isn't part of the beauty of college basketball the passionate fan base of the students and the student sections? Isn't that part of the brand of college sports? Why do they not have a dedicated student section right up against the court for what is the biggest games of the season? For what are the big, for the entire country? Why is it that students have to be in the same mix, in the same pool of people that of the general public? This, especially for mid-major basketball, for Oakland, where there's only one bid for the Horizon League, why is it that we can't be with the team that we've been following the entire way through? Why can't we bring a little bit of our atmosphere to the court and kind of you could say, do battle verbally and energy-wise with the opposing student section? I say that because the Horizon League tournament had that. When we were in Indianapolis for the championship game, there was a student section. We were seated right next to the band. We were sitting right next to the dance team like it was in the arena. Milwaukee had the same thing. Why is it that the NCAA tournament doesn't have dedicated student sections like that? That's part of the brand of college basketball. Have us near the court. Well, I don't understand the issue with that. I mean, financially, like what? I mean, maybe the university could pay for it. I mean, you can make the students pay for it, which stinks. But like, just why is there not reserved seats for students? I had issue with that because we were seated in a section. What was it, like 222? We were like up in the second level. Right up against the glass, with a mix of the general public, and we weren't able to stand up because people couldn't see. We were so far away that we were still shouting, we're still cheering, of course, but like it doesn't have that same impact. Waving flags and throwing signs, you can't do that because you're bothering other people. I don't want to bother other people, so what that ends up being is just like I have to hold it in. I have to sit there like a good boy and kind of be polite for the rest of the people. Why do I have to do that as a student that's been following the team the whole season? For a team that hasn't made it there in 13 years. Why am I limited to a mix of that kind of seating? Have student sections at these games. That's part of college basketball. Get the students up against the court, either behind the baskets or to the sides. Give each team 100 tickets for students. Have it an even 100. It's first come, first serve. If people on the school don't like it, that sucks, whatever, then you kind of go into the general pool of ticket purchasers. But get 100 kids of each school as a dedicated student section. Have them on opposite sides of the court so they don't fight each other. But I feel like that robs a lot of energy and a lot of juice from the games and from the stadium. And, I say this even though Oakland was still able to kind of win over the crowd against NC State. But we were just kind of like spread out and, the cheers weren't coordinated. And like it can't always be like the arena, but like, why not? Why not? I mean, like a little bit of it, you can work the pricing out. I mean, what, like, You can work that out, but you're robbing yourself and the audience of that college atmosphere. That sucks. They should have a student section. They should have a dedicated hundreds of tickets for students instead of just having us dispersed throughout the arena. I think that's bull. Another point I wanted to get to is a little bit more about Jack Golke. It was shown that after the game, there was a line about a mile long of fans, kids, alumni, students. There was a long, long line for Jack Golke pictures and autographs. And he stayed for hours after the game, letting every fan take every picture and signing everything he can. Jack is just, and this goes to the rest of the team as well. This isn't just Jack. This Golden Grizzlies team, and Campy has also said this the whole season, this is a fantastic group of men. These are fantastic people in terms of their attitude, in terms of their bond with each other and togetherness, in terms of their professionality, in terms of their politeness and etiquette. This is a class act team. Jack staying for hours to sign autographs it melts your heart. After suffering such a tough loss, overtime in the NCAA tournament, he still stayed to sign autographs, and he still stayed to greet the fans. He always says thank you in the arena. When the team goes around for the team that goes around for high fives in the event of a home win, it's thank you and high fives and thank you. They're just absolute class acts. No, like Campy says, there's no ego. There's no ego for get me the ball. There's no ego for, what are you going to pay me? I mean, I don't know. I shouldn't extend it to that, and there's no ego to the fans. They don't big shot anybody. They don't big time anybody. It warms my heart to see such gentlemen after such a tough loss still being able to greet and thank the fans. It's incredible. It's amazing. So I wanted to give that kind of shout out, not only to Jack for doing that. I mean, he was pictured doing it. I don't know if the other players were doing that, but all season long, Oakland has done that. It's amazing. And finally, one last topic that's kind of mixed in a senior speech, but I'll make this one quick because we still have to talk about baseball and swim. But everyone's talking about Oakland now. This is exactly what the GioMoShow, what WXOU Sports, what I personally have been wanting for this team ever since I was the sports media director here on campus. Ever since the GioMoShow became your home for Oakland sports and beyond. Everyone now is talking about Oakland. Now, did I have anything to do with it? Maybe 0.1%. I understand that it's because the team is winning and people pay attention to teams that win. I understand that. But what this has done for the Oakland brand, for the Oakland basketball, image on campus and beyond, this is exactly what this campus and university has needed. There is no bigger spark in mid-major basketball than winning a tournament game. Everyone's talking about it. Everybody's interviewing Jack. Everybody is talking to Campy and to Trey. Everyone is writing about them. You've seen Jack's face everywhere. Everyone's talking about Oakland. Now everybody knows who we are and where we are. We are the Golden Grizzlies of Rochester, Michigan. Ain't no California here. We're from Michigan. Everyone knows that now. Everyone understands and respects, to a degree, Oakland basketball. Oakland University. Sports are the front porch of any university. That it's how it is. And when you don't have a football team, it's already tough. So the basketball team is going to have to do a lot of the public image heavy lifting. As unfortunate as that is, and how unfair it could be, it is what it is. So for our basketball team to make this much national and local headlines, it's exactly what we've needed. Jack has been so far, well, first of all, he has his TurboTax NIL. He has his whatever the flip-flops him and Trey were doing. He has those. Buffalo Wild Wings. He has been a guest on the Rich Eisen Show, on the Pat McAfee Show, just today, the Part of My Take podcast. Jack has been everywhere. Everyone wants to know about Jack and the Golden Grizzlies. Everyone wants to know about how could Campy stay there for 40 years. Everyone wants to know about Mr. Oakland Trey Townsend. Everyone wants to hear about it. It's exactly what I've wanted. This is great for the university now, and especially in a year where the basketball has been on a downward trend overall in the state. U of M's had a really bad season. Hopefully for their sake they get back with the new hiring. MSU basketball, not the season they were hoping for. Pistons, not the season you wish for, not the season you wish on anybody. So this was the perfect time from a media perspective and from a fan base perspective. This was the perfect time to have a team in a run like this. Everyone's talking about it now. Everyone is going to be paying attention now. Now, of course, once we get back to October for the next season, it'll lose a little bit of steam because the team is going to have a lot of turnover, just like every other team in the country. Yes. But now you have national pedigree. A little bit, to whatever degree you choose. But Oakland is on currently the national spotlight. For however long it lasts, people are talking about it. And it's everything I've hoped and dreamed for Oakland. And it's happening. What I hope for through this is that the campus is going to become and revive itself to and return to the glory days of the old arena being packed every single game. I've never seen it with my eyes, but according to those who have followed basketball for a while, according to those like Greg Campy and Matt from the Horizon Roundtable, the old arena was packed every single week or every single game against anybody. This could be the spark to return that to campus. This could be the spark that could turn Oakland into a campus that loves their sports, that is electrified, that is buzzing when it's game day, that everyone knows and is trying to get seats and tickets and is trying to get into the arena to see with their own eyes, to make it to make it a night event, to make it something that you do with your friends, and it's a tradition that you make with the friends that you make here at Oakland University. This run could be the chance and the spark needed on campus to make that happen. It's everything I've hoped for, man. And to go out like this in my senior year, I'm not leaving. GioMoShow's still going to be going. I'm still going to be covering Oakland. But as a student, to be able to experience that and to do my best to share with the rest of the student body, this has the potential to be a historic in a milestone for this campus. And I hope the university is going to be able to capitalize on it as well. I hope that the money earned through this run is going to be put to good use to promoting the Oakland brand to students and otherwise, to more events, more like game day events and tailgates, and making the big event of the games. I hope that the university is going to be able to put that to good use. So here's to that. And again, next week we'll have a full breakdown of this season with me and Drew Allison as a separate piece, as a bonus edition for the GioMoShow. So stay tuned for that. Whew. All right, that's enough Oakland basketball. We did 50 minutes on Oakland basketball, dude. Let's go. I could do another 50, but we'll save that for next week. So before we get to baseball. Let me tell you about the Blue Ski Mask Show. Oakland Post sports editor Brock Hillig and sports reporter Kirk Szymanski will take you on an exhilarating ride through the world of the Detroit Lions and the Detroit Pistons. Get ready for in-depth analysis, player spotlights, game reviews, and expert insights, all centered around the NFL and NBA action in the Motor City. The Blue Ski Mask Show, Tuesdays from 4 to 5, right here on WXOU. We're going to take a short break here to get our PSA boxes checked, and we'll get right into baseball and swim and dive to close out this edition of the Joe Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to the Joe Show, 88.3 FM WXOU. Final segment of the show, we're going to get quickly through baseball and swim and dive, as they had a little bit of action going on this week, as well to the Golden Grizzlies men's basketball team. So for baseball, due to the snow that happened this past weekend, what was supposed to be a home series against Youngstown State turned into an away one. And Oakland in that series was able to get the win 2-1 over the Youngstown State Penguins. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. Tuesday was also a matchup for the Golden Grizzlies. They traveled to Mt Pleasant to face the Central Michigan Chippewas, a game that last year we called on WXOU, where Oakland was able to hold tight but couldn't quite get the finishing touch to beat the Chippewas. This year they do, as they were able to beat Central Michigan 11-8 on the road to Mt Pleasant before going on the road to Youngstown State. So I wanted to make sure I got that in chronological order. But for that series, Oakland beat Youngstown State 2-1. It happened via a 2-3 loss in the first game against the Penguins, but then Oakland followed it up with an absolute fireworks show, a smoke show, and the next two games, scoring 27 runs in both of those games. Game two, this was of a doubleheader, by the way. This is the same day. 14-1 win in the second game and 13-3 win in the third game. It was nothing but like homers and triples, and it was freaking fantastic. To break down a little bit of some of the stats for you, in the second game against Youngstown State, Brandon Nye went three at-bats, had a hit good for 2 runs and 3 RBIs, and Lucas Day 4 at-bats, a hit, 2 runs, and 3 RBIs. And then Sam Griffith, 3 at-bats, a hit, a run, and 3 RBIs. I mean, it was, listen, you could go look up the stats yourself, but I mean, 14 points is plenty to go around. And to get to the third game here, and I understand we're going a little bit quick here. For the third game, that was the series winner, 13-3 over the Penguins. Getting to the stats here, Lucas Day, 5 at-bats, 2 hits, 2 runs, and an RBI. John Lowinger, 4 at-bats, 3 hits, 4 runs, 3 RBIs. To get to some of the highlights, Brandon Heidel, 2 at-bats, a run, a hit, and an RBI as well. It was a shame I wasn't able to see it with my own eyes, but man, that we gave Youngstown State the business on the baseball diamond there. So great win by the Golden Grizzlies baseball team. They will be continuing action on Wednesday as they travel to East Lansing to face the Michigan State Spartans before going on the road Thursday, Friday, and Saturday to face the Wright State Raiders. Now, I don't know how long the streak is, but the team that has beaten Oakland in the Horizon League Championship the past 2 years in a row, they now get another crack at it going to their place, to Dayton, Ohio, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday to continue their Horizon League run. So that will close it out for the quick segment of of baseball here. Softball had their home series canceled due to the snowstorm. That was supposed to be against IUPUI. They have now moved that to later in the season. But with that, and that's some of that spare time for the softball team, they were on the bus to Pittsburgh. So that was a lot of fun to be with them for that trip. They obviously they show up and they show out in the stands for their Golden Grizzlies. So shout out to the softball team for being able to come to Pittsburgh with us. And then finally, to finish things off, swim and dive just competed in the end. Let me try and get this acronym here. The CSCAA National Invitational Championships, where the men finished 4th overall and the women finished 16th overall. For the men, a few top 3 finishes that we got here. Jack Wick, 3rd in both the 100 IM and the 200 IM. Christian Bart was 1st place champion of the 100 breaststroke and 3rd place in the 50 breaststroke. And Jonas Cantrell, 3rd place in the 200 free and the 1,000 free, and champion of the 500 free. Distance events are not fun, man. So shout out to Jonas for getting it in the distance events. But if you know anything about swimming, then yes, some events might be seen as more difficult than others, but none of them are easy. So congratulations to Swim and Dive for those placings as well. And for one last shout out for the Swim and Dive team, Ian Allen. You guys know him as the head shaving, tattooing, armpit waxing madman in the student section. He is not a bad swimmer on his own. He qualified for Olympic trials in the 200 IM, an event that some would consider the equivalent of the decathlon, the ultimate test for a swimmer to be top notch in all 4 strokes in the same event, the 200 IM. Ian Allen will be competing in the Olympic trials in that event. It's one that I swam in as well, so I hold it in higher regard for that. But a huge, huge, huge congratulations to Ian Allen for making the Olympic trials cut, which is, for those who know swimming at all, it is just about the one of the highest marks for a swimmer. To be in the conversation of the Olympics is something that every kid in the pool dreams of from the time they enter it for the first time, when they're like, probably for those guys, probably like 3 years old. For Ian, probably even earlier. But it's something that swimmers dream of for their entire career. So huge, 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 once again, congratulations for Ian Allen for qualifying in the 200 IM. And that will bring us to 1 o'clock here. That will close out the Joe Show. We talked all about men's basketball and their March Madness run and how it sadly came to an end to the hands of NC State. We talked about baseball, and they won against Central Michigan and at Youngstown State. And we talked about swim and dive at the CSCAA NIT. For those of you who have missed the Joe Show, don't worry. You can go to YouTube. You can subscribe. 5-star review the podcast. Everywhere you can find it. There's no way to miss the Joe Show. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share. Tell your friends that the Joe Show is here to stay. We'll be back here next week, Mondays at noon, right here on WXOU. Giovanni Mosheri, out.